Welcome back, Pipers. Hobbiton Piper Kevin here, coming to you from the heartland of America in Missouri. We've had a lot of rain this week, and I'm going to try to get this video recorded in between a couple of storm cells. There's another one rolling in, so I've got my umbrella up, and we'll see how this goes. The Orioles did arrive, though, and they've been hitting that red feeder back there pretty good over the past week. I've got some orange slices up there and orange halves, and some grape jelly, and they love that. So if we get lucky, maybe one will show up. But they're pretty skittish. They only come through a few weeks out of the year, and then they're gone. So they're not quite so used to me sitting out here as all the others are. But anyway, let's get to talking about what we came to talk about. And that is, I want to talk to you about the most neutral yet powerful pipe sweetener that I have found, and one that I think you may want to give a try. Before I get started, though, I really want to say thank you to a friend, Russ Hicks. Some of you may know him. He's not on YouTube as a content creator, but a very, very phenomenal resource when it comes to pipe smoking. He's been smoking a pipe for over 35 years, and we met via this channel and have had many conversations since. And I had a long conversation with him about this topic, and this video is going to be so much better thanks to Russ. So Russ, thank you for all of your input, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about pipe sweeteners. So when I talk about this topic, and I need to be clear that I'm not talking about any sort of deep cleaning of your pipe. I'm not going to talk about salt treatments or alcohol retorts or acetone baths, none of that. We're just talking about just a basic cleaning that you would do with a pipe cleaner and some sort of fluid between smokes, between bowls maybe, or you know, just a light basic cleaning that you would do much more often than you would do a deep cleaning. And really haven't talked about this yet on the channel, so this is new content that I hope some of you find interesting and useful. So when you think back on the history of, the recent history anyway, of pipe sweeteners, you can go all the way back to thinking about one that was really popular, and that was the bee pipe sweetener. I'll put a little picture of it right here. That was very popular for a long time. It had like a honey or honeysuckle sweet note in it, and really popular. But I don't think it's been around for over 20 years now. It was definitely discontinued. But that has since been replaced with one of the more popular sweeteners that's available today anyway, and that is the Pipe Masters Clean and Cure. And it has more of a minty alcohol sweet note to it. And it does clean very well for the purposes of using a pipe cleaner, running it through your stem, and you know, through the draft hole. Very, very good. It's very good. Very viable choices, though, beyond like official sweeteners, would be whatever your favorite alcoholic liquor might be. So, for example, whiskeys, rum, vodka, these are often used and are very viable options. The one that I used for a long time was bourbon. So I would pick a bourbon, and I would put some of this in a smaller container, and I would use that to dip my pipe cleaners in to clean my pipes. And I did that for a long time. So those are all very viable options. Now, some people do use isopropyl, rubbing alcohol. The problem with that, though, to me, is that it's in no way a sweetener. I mean, that's just, you know what rubbing alcohol smells like. So, effective for cleaning, yes. A sweetener, no, probably not. So, those pipe sweeteners that we talked about early on, plus the liquors, these are viable options for sure. But there's one that I have kind of latched onto now that is just so effective, so strong and powerful in cleaning all that gunk out of your pipe easily, and also has a natural corn sweetness to it that comes from how it's made. So I want to be very clear, though, before I show you this, that this is not part of the good drink portion of this channel. This is a cleaning agent. I do not recommend drinking this, although I assume there are many of you who could share some stories of partying with this and the effects that it may have had on you. So let's not drink this. Let's use it as a cleaning agent. It's so powerful that it's actually been banned from sale in at least 14 states here in America. So you might have to go across state lines to get it. It's almost odorless. It's very neutral in flavor. It's really almost flavorless. But it does, if you were to sip it, for science, if you were to sip it, you would likely taste a little bit of that corn sweetness that I talked about. And so in that way, it is a sweetener. You're not going to find any sort of that kind of sweetness if you were to taste that. But you will in this. It does exist. There is a sweetness to it, and it is so powerful in removing that gunk from your stem, from the draft hole, because whereas a bourbon, for example, is normally somewhere between 40 and 60% ABV, or alcohol by volume. If you double that, then you're talking, 80 to 120 proof. What I'm about to show you is 95% ABV, or 190 proof. So, without further ado, the most neutral and powerful pipe sweetener that I have found, and I'm enjoying using very much, is Everclear. What's so interesting about Everclear is that it's going to remove that gunk so easily. It's going to also provide that little touch of sweetness, and because it's going to remove that gunk so effectively, it's going to be able to help bring out like the natural sweetness of briar, for example, in a briar pipe, because briar has a natural sweetness to it. And you say, okay, well, remind me again, Kevin, why you're saying that over like a bourbon or a vodka or rum. Well, for me, someone that's very interested in tobacco tasting and the actual flavors of that tobacco and how that tastes in various pipes, keeping that cleaner as neutral as possible, that sweetener as neutral as possible, is a good thing. It's a good thing for me anyway. So let's talk a little bit about, though, some of the levels of cleaning with this basic cleaning. Okay, not the deep cleaning, just the basic cleaning. So, pipe smoking, it has a seemingly endless amount of variables. That's true in the cleaning process as well. And there's a lot of science to it. So if you study it and you choose to learn about it, it can be really interesting, the amount of variables involved as to what's cleaning a pipe too much. Obviously, if you don't clean it at all, then you're going to have not your best experience, not your best taste experience, not the best experience for the cleanliness of your pipe. But if you over clean and you clean all the time, a lot, with these sweeteners or however you choose to clean your pipe, you may be robbing yourself of some of that perfect smoke potential. So you're going to have to experiment. You're going to have to find your perfect sweet spot as to how often you should clean that pipe. But let me talk about the range of basic pipe cleaner cleaning, okay? The range. So the first level would be just to use a pipe cleaner only. In other words, you're done smoking your pipe, you dump out the ash, and even while it's still hot and wet, you could take a pipe cleaner and just keep it together, keep the pipe together, and just run it through. Run it through and clean it. Okay? That would be like the least aggressive type of cleaning. Would just be to take your pipe cleaner, run it through a freshly smoked pipe. Now, a little helpful tip, by the way, before I forget. You know how sometimes you'll run a pipe cleaner through and you'll blow through the pipe and it'll have those white fuzzies, the little white fibers that came off of the pipe cleaner. Sometimes if you'll just rub that pipe cleaner through your fingers first, get those off, see that? Get those off, and then run it through. It'll eliminate some of that. You're always going to have a few fibers that end up in your pipe, and that's why after you run it through, then take it back out and then blow through it, blow those little fibers out. So that's the first level of just a basic pipe cleaner cleaning. All right, so what's the second level? The second level would be where you actually use the sweetener. You still keep the pipe together, but you use the sweetener. So I like to take that Everclear and I like to put it in an old Pipe Masters cleaning cure bottle. This used to have the green minty alcohol fluid in it, which works great. But the Everclear is just more neutral and stronger. So you just take your pipe cleaner and just, you don't need to dip this whole pipe cleaner in here. You just want to do a little dab. Get it a little wet there on the end. And then you will run that through. I got too much on that. I couldn't see what I was doing. But you're just going to run that through now. You don't need to put a lot. Just run it through, take it back out. Look, I've already cleaned this pipe. That's incredible because I've already cleaned this pipe and it was sitting on my shelf. And just using that Everclear on it, look how much more of that gunk it got out. So it's really powerful. Now I would take a dry one now and I would run it through again just to get all that residue out, all that Everclear residue out. So that would be the second level, would be pipe still together, but use your pipe cleaner, your pipe sweetener, and run that through the pipe. Now, the third level would be to actually take the pipe apart. Now, this is what you see most people recommending that you do, and it's certainly a better way to, you know, be a little more deliberate in cleaning your stem, making sure you get that draft hole cleaned well. Which, by the way, one thing Russ said, which I thought was a really good point, he said that a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on cleaning the draft hole, the actual draft hole here at the bottom of the bowl, because he said that that is where a majority of that gunk and that ghosting is likely occurring, is near that draft hole. So you want to get that really clean. But the common wisdom is that if you're going to take your pipe apart, then you want to wait till it's cool. You don't want to take it apart immediately after smoking it. So wait till it cools off and then take your pipe apart, and then same thing, you're going to use the pipe sweetener and you're going to clean the stem. Just dipped it in there a little bit, putting it through, cleaning the stem. And then, of course, you also want to do that for the draft hole here. It's amazing. It's amazing how much Everclear can take out. I didn't clean this with Everclear the last time I cleaned it. So, again, very powerful. Now, let's talk about some words of caution, because we do need to talk about some words of caution when it comes to using alcohol that's so strong. First of all, with any of these solutions, whether you're talking about, you know, liquors or the isopropyl or this Everclear that I'm recommending, you do not want to get that on the finish of your pipe. You don't want to get it anywhere on the outside of your pipe. This is all internal cleaning only. You want to keep it off the finish. It will strip the finish if you get something this strong on your on the outside of your pipes. So make sure that you keep it off of the finish, keep it off of any external parts of your pipe. Now, vulcanite stems are actually quite resistant to alcohol cleanings, so I don't think you're going to have any issues there at all. If you were worried about a really high-end acrylic stem, and you were worried about that high alcohol content in some way affecting it, negatively damaging it from the inside, you know, all acrylic recipes are different. Every company kind of has its own acrylic recipe to make its acrylic stems, and some of those may be more susceptible to damage from a high alcohol content cleaner, solution, sweetener, and then some won't. You would never have any issue with that. But there have been reports by some people that they use something with less alcohol content in order to clean some of those really high-end acrylic stems from for example, from a high-end Italian pipe maker or something. So something to be aware of there if you have a stem that you're potentially concerned about. I've never had a problem with it. Russ has never had a problem with it. But some people have reported some problems with some acrylic recipe stems having a negative reaction to, you know, years of cleaning with a pipe sweetener with such a high alcohol content. Whatever you use, and let me know what you use in the comments, because I assume many of you use a sweetener like the Pipe Masters Cleaning Cure. I assume many of you use a liquor of some kind, like a rum or a bourbon, or some of you may even use scotch, vodka. And let me know what you use. And then consider trying, if you can get your hands on it, consider trying this neutral, powerful 190 proof Everclear and see what you think of that as well. I want to give a big thanks to my Super Thanks supporters. I've created a new credit screen for you to show my thanks to you, and I'll be adding that to the end of my videos moving forward, expand on it in the future, hopefully. So thank you so much for that. You can read more about that in the description below. Until we talk again, go enjoy some good food, good drink, and a good, clean, sweet pipe.